abducted into an alternate version of his life. Meanwhile, someone else is living his life.
Ladies and gentlemen, do you recall those golden days when we'd crowd into movie theaters, captivated by Hollywood stars with their dazzling smiles and magnetic eyes? Today, dear friends, I'm taking you back to that era, but not to admire the glitz. We're going to explore the shadows behind it. This is the story of Jennifer Connelly, a beloved icon of the 1990s, a woman who left the world in awe. Here's what's fascinating. Beneath her stunning beauty lay scars no one saw. So, settle in, and let me share the secret she kept hidden for 30 years. Stories that might touch your heart deeply. Jennifer Connelly. Her name is like an old familiar song, isn't it? It brings back memories of weekend evenings at the cinema, where we dream big. Born on December 12, 1970, in New York's serene Catskill Mountains, Jennifer didn't chase Hollywood's spotlight. Hollywood chose her, pulling her in like a delicate porcelain doll, placing her on a pedestal of fame, only to toss her into a storm of glory, allure, and betrayal. Even the brightest stars folks can shatter under the stage lights. Jennifer's life proves it, a strong woman carrying deep wounds. Now, let me tell you about her early years. At just 10, Jennifer graced the covers of major fashion magazines. Her angelic face and soulful eyes, deep as an ocean, made her seem born to shine. But here's the truth, even angels face darkness. At 14, she landed the lead role in Labyrinth, starring alongside David Bowie. The press hailed her as America's new sweetheart. Yet, after the cameras stopped, strangers' hands touched her shoulders. Whispers made her young heart tremble. Her first director, who should have protected her, told her to breathe like a grown woman while delivering lines. A 14-year-old girl thrust into a harsh world where cruelty ruled, and silence was the only way to survive. It's unsettling, isn't it? Jennifer grew up in the film industry, where every role left a mark, and every contract was a promise that could vanish. At 30, she starred in Requiem for a Dream, a film that stunned the world. Those scenes of addiction and pain weren't just acting. Dear friends, they mirrored her own life. Her father, who abandoned her as a child, only returning to ask for money. Every spotlight, every role, reminded her of what she'd lost. Still, Jennifer didn't falter. She kept moving forward, her heart scarred, each step heavy with burden. She learned to smile for the cameras, even as storms raged within her. Today, we're not just talking about the glamour. We're diving into the hidden corners, the dark secrets Jennifer kept locked away. At 54, she chose to break her silence. She named 3 men who wounded her deeply. Not because they were unimportant, but because they stole her youth, her reputation, and her dreams. Are you ready to hear their stories? Let's step into these untold tales. Truths that may leave you both heartbroken and amazed. These are the people who broke a star like Jennifer. First, there's James Harper, a young production assistant Jennifer once called a friend. Have you ever trusted someone only to find they've betrayed you? In 1993, Jennifer was 23, shaken by a scandal with co-star Don Johnson. She feared the spotlight, her hands trembling before the cameras. James seemed like a brother, a protector. He brought her water, shielded her from prying reporters, and said something that moved her to tears. "If you fall, I'll be there to catch you." But here's what's shocking. James recorded their private talks. He kept his recorder running when she shared the pain of filming a traumatic rape scene in Requiem for a Dream, a scene that left her trembling at the memory. He saved voicemails between her and her mother, private words no one else should hear. He even took photos of her alone in her dressing room, bare-faced, eyes brimming with tears, as if she were vulnerable prey. A year later, those recordings appeared on an anonymous blog. Jennifer was devastated. Directors turned away. Producers canceled contracts. Her agent was blunt. They don't want to work with someone emotionally unstable. Jennifer sank into depression. She stepped away from Hollywood for 9 months, living in fear and self-doubt. She wondered, am I really not good enough? Do I deserve this spotlight? She spent long nights staring out her window, trying to piece herself back together. It wasn't until a crew member confessed, "I saw James email those files to a paparazzo," that she understood. James didn't want money. He wanted control. He wanted her to feel forever indebted to him. "I don't hate him for hurting me," she said. "I hate him for making me doubt myself." That betrayal, folks, leaves a crack that never fully heals. It makes you question who you can trust and whether Hollywood has room for sincerity. Next, there's Edward Blake, a British actor praised as a cinematic genius. You might remember Dear Friends, how we adored stars with charming smiles and warm voices. Edward was one of those. He met Jennifer when she was 31, weary from painful roles, longing for a safe place to heal. Edward entered her life, polished, thoughtful, listening as if her pain were a work of art. He told her, "You're the light in Hollywood's darkness," words that melted her heart. He wrote her handwritten letters, sent her flowers, and made her believe love could thrive in this artificial world. They fell in love quietly, away from red carpets and headlines. Jennifer thought, maybe this time it's real. Maybe she'd found a man who wouldn't hurt her. She dreamed of peaceful evenings with him, moments free of cameras and scripts. But Edward was a master manipulator. He began controlling her life. He picked her roles, chose her outfits, and scripted her interviews. "You need to maintain your image," he'd say. "We're building a legacy." He even refused to let her take an action role because the character was too strong, clashing with the fragile image he wanted her to keep. He wanted her to remain a muse, a perfect painting in the public's eyes. Jennifer started losing herself. She questioned her worth, wondering if she deserved the spotlight. She looked in the mirror and didn't recognize the woman staring back. She felt like a bird in a gilded cage, beautiful but unable to fly. Then she discovered she was pregnant, trembling with hope. She thought Edward would be overjoyed, ready to build a future together. She imagined a small family, the sound of children's laughter in their home. But Edward didn't shout or rage. He simply smiled and handed her an envelope. Inside was an abortion contract, paired with a financial deal to stay silent. "This child will ruin our careers, anyway." "Miss," he said, "I can't let that happen." Jennifer was heartbroken. She left him, cutting all ties, and went to a hospital alone on a rainy Los Angeles night. The baby didn't survive. No one knew, not the press, not her friends, until she shared. "I didn't cry for the child I lost. I cried for the mother I could have been if I hadn't chosen the wrong man." That pain, folks, when love turns into a blade, cuts deeper than any wound. It makes you wonder if you're worthy of love or if you can ever trust it again. But Edward's cruelty didn't end there. 2 months later, he released a short film. The main character, a clear replica of Jennifer, was a fragile woman who had an abortion and then took her own life. The film was his final message. You can't escape me. Jennifer vowed never to work with him, never to share his stage, never to forgive. She locked that pain in her heart, but her eyes no longer held an angel's glow. They were the eyes of a survivor, forged in hardship. That resilience, Dear Friends, shines through her pain. Though wounded, she stood up and kept going, each step a battle. The third man was William Pierce, an Oscar-winning actor often compared to George Clooney. You might recall those charity galas, where stars shone with kindness. Jennifer met William at one in 2005. They read poetry to orphans, dined at a grand hotel, and later starred together in a poignant drama. On screen, they portrayed a couple grieving a lost child. Off screen, Jennifer believed William was mature enough to love a woman weary from her scars. She was mistaken. William didn't woo her with looks. He used intellect, poetry, and late-night whispers. For the first time, I felt seen, she said. But it was a trap. He held her hand on the red carpet, but backstage, he offered her body to film financiers. If Jennifer dines with this guy, we'll get $8 million, he told a producer. Jennifer refused, firm and resolute. She wasn't for sale. She wasn't a pawn in his power games. She stood tall, looked him in the eye, and said, "I'm not something you can sell." Then, a video spread through underground media. It showed Jennifer Connelly, seemingly drunk, yelling, and tearing up a script backstage. No one knew it was edited. No one asked questions. How could anyone doubt William, the champion of kindness and art? Jennifer's reputation suffered. She lost 2 lead roles in indie films. Magazines ran sensational headlines. Jennifer Connelly unstable, fading with age and antidepressants. She knew only William had the power and cunning to leak that video. "I don't hate him for hurting me," she said. "I hate him for making me doubt myself." When you can't tell if you're losing your mind or being manipulated, that's a kind of torment. But Jennifer's story isn't just about wounds from men like James, Edward, or William. Do you remember Billy Campbell, folks? He was the love of her life. They met in 1991 on the set of The Rocketeer. Billy, with his warm smile and honest eyes, made Jennifer believe she'd found a safe harbor. They were in love for 5 years, sharing quiet dates under California sunsets and long nights dreaming of a home and family. Have you ever loved someone so much you thought they'd be your forever? Jennifer and Billy dreamed of a shared future. They talked about little houses by the coast, children playing in the yard. Jennifer, at the height of her career, was willing to sacrifice roles to be with him. She believed their love could withstand Hollywood's pressures. One moonlit night, she sat beside him and said, "As long as I have you, I don't need anything else." Billy held her hand, promising to stay forever. But Hollywood isn't a place for eternal dreams. As Billy's career soared, he changed. Promises of a home faded. He grew distant, blaming his busy film schedule. Jennifer sensed the shift, but didn't want to believe it. She told herself, "Maybe he just needs time. Maybe he still loves me." She tried to hold the relationship together, writing letters, planning dates, despite her packed schedule. But then she learned the painful truth. Billy was seeing a younger actress, even as Jennifer clung to their love. She confronted him. She didn't scream or cry. She just asked, "Why?" Billy didn't apologize. He said, "You need to understand, this is how Hollywood works." Those words stung like salt in a wound. Jennifer walked away, carrying a broken heart. The pain didn't stop there. A year later, Billy spoke about their relationship in a magazine interview. He described Jennifer as overly sensitive, too weak to handle the industry's pressures. He shared private details about nights she cried from stress, times she confided fears about her future. Those words didn't just hurt her, they made the public question her strength. Magazines called her a fragile star, a woman too delicate for Hollywood's demands. Jennifer didn't fight back in the press. She didn't sue or argue. She stayed silent, locking her pain away. But every time she heard Billy's name, she remembered the nights she cried alone, wondering if she was truly not enough. "I loved him," she said. "But I learned that love in Hollywood is just another role, a script written to be torn apart when the lights go out." That bitterness, folks, when the person you love most wounds you deeply, turns dreams into illusions. In the years that followed, Jennifer faced more challenges. She starred in major films, from A Beautiful Mind to Blood Diamond, but every triumph came at a cost. She battled rumors, criticism, and memories of those who betrayed her. She learned to rise after each fall, to smile despite a shattered heart. She faced lonely days when the world admired her, but no one truly understood her. How strong must a woman be? Dear friends, to keep going after all that, Jennifer didn't just move forward. She became an icon, not only for her talent, but for her resilience. At 54, Jennifer Connelly is no longer the 14-year-old trembling before the camera. She's not the 23-year-old fearing the spotlight. She's a survivor, a flame that burns bright despite Hollywood's shadows. Today, she shares her story not for revenge, but for freedom. She wants the world to know that, despite being hurt and betrayed, she stood up and shone. She wants other women, those silenced or manipulated, to know they're not alone. Here's what's inspiring. The truth, no matter how painful, deserves to be heard. Jennifer's story isn't just hers. It's the story of women forced to stay quiet, to smile through broken hearts. She shows us that no matter how deep the darkness, there's always light at the end of the path. She's living proof that, despite wounds, you can rise and rediscover yourself. If you've ever held your tongue out of fear, or loved someone only to be betrayed, Jennifer's story is for you. If you're curious about more hidden Hollywood tales, stick with us. Dear friends, there are other stories, other stars, waiting to be uncovered. Let's keep turning the pages of this old book, where glamour and shadows intertwine. Thank you for listening. Stay with us, because the truth always deserves a voice.